During a new interview with Scream 7 director Christopher Landon, the guy spilled the beans about how he got the job and his love for this ever-growing franchise. In today's video, not only do I want to cover this interview, but I also want to talk about what Christopher Landon's Scream will look like. Will he give us the same old murder mystery Scream, or does he have something new to bring to the table? Let's get into it.
Well, sometimes that is better.
So getting right into this, the director of the upcoming Scream film, Christopher Landon, was interviewed on the Jess Cagle show through SiriusXM and had a few very interesting things to say about the upcoming film and also his history with this franchise. Talking about his first experience with the Scream franchise, director Christopher Landon says, "When I was an intern in college, my first internship was at a production company, and they knew I was a horror fanatic, a big horror nerd. And so this hot spec script came in and they gave it to me first because they said, oh, it's a horror script, you should read this, you know? Tell us if it's any good. And I read like the first 15 pages and I freaked out and ran into my boss's office and I was like, this is amazing, you guys have to buy it. And so everybody started reading it and it was Scream, which at the time was called Scary Movie. They bought it and they made it. So it's this weird full circle moment to find myself about to direct the next one after I was like weirdly the first person to read it. That is one of the coolest stories I have ever heard. It is literally fate that this man is directing Scream 7. That is so cool. The director also commented on how he got the job for the upcoming Scream film. It came out of the blue for me, Landon says. My understanding is that there were conversations happening for some time, but I think it was just an opportunity that really arose because the other directors who did the last two films, Tyler and Matt, they wanted to do something else. They were ready to kind of do something different. That's when they obviously had to find someone new, and I've known Kevin Williamson, who wrote the original film, for a long time, and he's a friend. I think he threw my name into the hat and everybody kind of said, yeah, that makes sense. That seems to make sense. And I was just thrilled that I got that call because it felt like kismet. It felt like a thing that was always meant to be. As you can see from these two quotes, the guy is clearly super pumped to be directing the upcoming Scream film. He's even posted pictures online of his kids wearing ghostface masks, which is so cute. With all of this excitement though, many Scream fans are worried about the upcoming entry because they don't know what it's going to look like under the helm of a different director. Radio Silence gave us two brand new entries in the franchise that have mostly been praised. But what will happen next in the concluding chapter of this new requel trilogy? Well, the situation looks like this. We have many returning characters from the previous films that probably won't be Ghostface in the next film. Despite my want for Sam to be the killer in Scream 7, that may be unlikely. Keeping my fingers crossed though. But here's the situation. We have the core four, which is 4 characters that are unlikely to be Ghostface in the next film. We also have Kirby Reed, Danny, Gale Weathers, and potentially Sidney Prescott, which makes 8 people. Assuming that none of these characters go Ghostface in the next movie, how the hell could a murder mystery exist when you have 8 characters that are completely safe amongst maybe 5, 6 new characters? If they attempt to make Scream 7 in the same way we've seen every other Scream film in the past, it will fail, just like the murder mystery in Scream 6, which I mostly enjoy that film except for that aspect to it. The issue with Scream 6 is that too many people survived from previous films that were brought back for this one. Obviously, Kirby was never going to be the killer no matter what Dermot Mulroney says in the third act. There just wasn't enough back and forth with the characters making you think, oh, maybe this person could be the killer, because there was so many safe characters that had gone through this traumatizing experience in a previous film. Sydney may not have been in the last movie, but Kirby was here, and she definitely was not gonna go Ghostface in that movie, especially with how they introduced her. After that Tara conversation, no way was she going Ghostface in that last movie. So once again, assuming that none of these characters are going to be our Ghostface killer in the next movie, how do we have a murder mystery happen in this next film unless we kill off a bunch of these characters and replace them with new people? Now there's multiple routes we could go besides just killing off all of these beloved characters. We could follow Sam Carpenter as a Ghostface killer after she loses her sister in the first act of the film. She could be going after all of Richie's followers that are very akin to characters like Jason or Greg from the opening of Scream 6. Maybe through the help of Kirby Reed, she could be going after other Ghostface killers all across the country, killing them in cold blood, making sure that they don't kill any of their other friends, stopping this online wave of Ghostface killers for good in a nice little final chapter that's wrapped up nice and neat in a little bow. Even if you hate that idea, the big reason I'm pitching it is because there are so many loose ends from the previous 2 films that Scream 7 needs to address, or this simply is not going to feel like one big full story. Those 2 things I'm talking about is 1, Richie's online followers who think that Sam was really the killer, or maybe they just want to continue finishing Richie's movie, whatever. I would classify the characters of Amber Freeman, Jason, and Greg from the previous 2 films into that category. Maybe there's more of those people out there and they need to be stopped. The second one is Sam's online reputation. As we saw multiple times in Scream 6, people believe that she was the killer during the events of Scream 5. And I believe moving into 7, some people will think she was the perpetrator in the previous film as well. Now here's the thing about all of that. I'm sure some people are already going at their keyboards right now and being like, Jake, you completely forgot that actually at the end of the film, the Kirsch family admitted to all of that and got killed. Well, yeah, you're right. But do you think if that news article comes out, is everyone really going to believe that was the case, especially after how many people online, as we saw in the previous film, believed that Sam Carpenter killed Richie Kirsch, who they once again believe is totally innocent? I mean, rational human beings don't just throw an entire pop at somebody in the middle of the street unless they thought they did something pretty awful like that. With Gail's new book that Sam is not super happy about, that kind of ruined her online reputation, as well as what the Kirsch family ended up doing, pulling some strings online to start that rumor, I don't think that's just gonna magically go away in the next film. As we've learned from real life, people will still believe things even if there's irrefutable evidence against it. And my god, is it frustrating, and it would be kind of a cool thing to comment on in the next film. Scream has always been known for its social and horror commentary. Why not just utilize that in Scream 7? It would unfortunately be very fitting with the times. And you wouldn't even have to vilify Sam Carpenter in order to tell this story. Like, yes, in the way that I've pitched it before, it would kind of be this like dark ending to Sam Carpenter, very akin to something like Anakin Skywalker in the prequel movies for Star Wars. You know, where he's being trained to be this like epic Jedi, but he actually goes to the dark side in the last film. Spoiler alert, I have the high ground, Sam Carpenter! But I think it would be really cool to follow Sam Carpenter trying to fix her reputation online by going after some of these other Ghostface killers. It would make for a really fun formula-breaking movie that I think would teach Sam Carpenter the lesson that sometimes there are some things that you just simply can't fix. I imagine she would go through some kind of arc where she would kill all of Richie's disciples, but then at the end of the day, there are still people out there that believe she did all of these awful killings. Maybe you have Richie's disciples closing in on her or something, and you have like 8 killers in the next movie that try to kill Sam Carpenter. She ends up taking all these people out, but her online reputation is still ruined. But maybe by the end of the film, she no longer cares. Maybe she realizes by the end of the film that the main proponent of the evil in her life was Richie Kirsch and all the evil shit he did starting in that first movie, moving into this one. And after all of that is gone, maybe she's just happy with the life she has and the people around her, and her online reputation doesn't really mean all that much to her, which would be kind of a cool little positive ending, I think. Trust me, more than anything do I want a tragic ending in a Scream film, but I would be okay with that. The biggest thing I'm looking for in Scream 7 is to avoid the issues of some of the other sequels in this franchise. If they do a murder mystery movie that's akin to all of the other Scream films, you have to kill off some of these characters and replace them with new people, or there's no way you're gonna be able to freak me out in the third act by revealing this person as Ghostface, because otherwise it'll be way too obvious. If they don't end up going that way, I hope how they break the formula has a very focused and purposeful direction. What I do know from looking at Christopher Landon's other movies is he's always kind of done that in a supernatural sense. I don't think that's what he's going to do in Scream 7, but I do believe somehow in some way the formula will be broken in a very creative and focused direction, whether you like it or not. And no, don't be comparing this to Halloween Ends, because they didn't break the formula and do something original like most people claim. They just took the plotline from Christine, threw it at a Halloween movie, and replaced Christine with Michael Myers. That's all they did. A better and weirder comparison, in my opinion, is that I think Scream 7 will look a lot like Hangover 3. And yes, I know that's totally ridiculous, but look at the first 2 Hangover movies. They essentially follow the same formula. All 4 of our main characters black out, they lose one of their buddies. In both films, it's Doug. They have to find Doug and also deal with some of the other they did the night before. They finally find the guy if it's on the roof of a building or in the ice cooler, and then they take him back to a wedding somewhere. That's the plot of both of those movies. But then when you get into Hangover 3, that whole movie is about dealing with loose ends from the previous 2 films. I feel like the same is true about Scream 7. We're going to be dealing with some of these loose ends that were lurking in the background of the previous 2 films, especially in Scream 6. However they end up doing that, I guess we'll just have to see when the movie comes out, maybe next year, or maybe in 2025. Not 100% sure, the writer's strike is definitely going to determine that. What do you guys think about Scream 7 though? Do you want to try something entirely new with this upcoming entry, or do you just want to go back to basics? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching this brand new Scream 7 update. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content in the future. Please consider supporting me on Patreon if you want to see this channel grow. The link for that is in the description below. And as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.